What's going on YouTube? So Ford is a brand known for offering lots of options, not just in their model selection, but within the individual models themselves.
And today we're in one of the most versatile Fords, the refreshed Escape. It's offered in a gas, hybrid, and plug-in hybrid offering.
So how does this stack up against all the competition? Let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, the first place we're going to start out with is under the hood for our spec dump. Now, we mentioned in the intro, there's a lot of different choices with this Escape. You have 4 different powertrains to choose from. Starting with a 1.5 liter turbo 3-cylinder, you have a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and then you have this powerful 2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is making 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque.
It's going to be paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, standard front-wheel drive, optional all-wheel drive, and as far as your fuel economy, this particular tester comes in at 26 miles a gallon combined, and we'll talk about all the other options later on in the test drive.
Right, like Mason said, we're going for a test drive. We're going to get things like our signature sound level rating so we can compare to the competition. But first, we've got to close up the hood and take a look at this refreshed exterior design. So there's quite a bit of new stuff here in the front end of the 2023 Escape. Ford has refreshed the design to give it the most modern look in line with the other Ford crossovers. So you'll see up here in the front, we have a new kind of trapezoidal shaped grille. This is the ST line we have today. So this is going to be one of your sportier models. And that's going to have a black mesh in the inside of the grille. It's also going to have more body colored lower elements here on our lower fascia. There are 3 different ST line trim levels. And like I said, you have a lot of different choices because you also have a bunch of other trim levels you can choose from as well. Now let's go over here and take a look at our lighting. Standard across the entire lineup of Escapes is going to be LED reflector headlights. So as you can see, you've got that right there. You do have a daytime running light accent and a LED turn signal indicator. And I want to talk about this piece of chrome. You're probably thinking, Drew, why is this noteworthy? Well, actually, on the upper end trim levels for 2023, you can get this substituted out with a light bar. So you may have seen a top end trim level. It's going to have that big light across the top for a very modern look. Most of the other trim levels, though, will come with this piece of chrome instead. And then finishing off our lighting, we do have LED fog lights. These are going to start on the ST line Select like we have today. Now as we go to the rear design, there's not as much different about the back than with the front. It definitely has, a clean, classy appearance and a little bit of sporty edge here with the ST line.
Yeah, and they have done something, so it has a little bit of a fresh look. I like that Escape is spread out across the back, and let's check out our taillights, which are revised for 2023, and see if all the elements are LED. So we have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, and then our turn signal is also going to double as our brake light here. So all 3 elements are LED, including the accenting. So very premium taillight design on this new Escape. I really like the way the taillights look. Now dropping down to this lower area, you will notice that we have a very premium look to it, and that's because of a few things. So for one, because we have the ST line, that's going to make all of this body color instead of the rugged matte black plastic. I'm not a huge fan of that. We do still have a little bit of it, but it's down here, so I like that it's body color on most of the rear bumper area. You're also going to notice that we have dual exposed exhaust outlets. That's actually standard on every single version of the Escape, including the hybrid and plug-in hybrid models, so I like that as well. As far as the tow rating, up to 3,500 pounds with this Escape.
Now let's move on to our wheel choices. You've got several of these as well. 17-inch wheels will be your start point. You do move up to 18 and 19-inch alloy options. Here on the ST line Select, this would normally come standard with an 18-inch alloy, but we have the optional 19-inch machined contrast alloys. I really like the way these look. This is definitely worth the $395 Ford is charging for these because they really pop with this overall design. As you move up here, you'll see ST line branding. With the ST line, you would always have a gloss black mirror cap, although you can't really tell that with the entire body being gloss black. We do have standard blind spot monitoring as well on every single trim level, and heating will begin on the ST line Select.
Now at the side of this refreshed Escape, we're gonna see that signature Escape look here. It's definitely not gonna be as boxy as something like a Bronco Sport. So we do have a little bit of a sloping design. I do also wanna point out we're gonna have roof rails standard on ST line models, as well as black window surrounds, which looks really good on this fully blacked out model. Now let's go ahead and dive into the safety systems, because of course the Escape is a family vehicle after all. We're going to have 3 out of your 4 active safety features as standard on the Escape. The only caveat to that is adaptive cruise control, which will come on your upper end Escape models. But guys, that's going to wrap up the refreshed exterior. And if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now on to the interior, but first we'll take a look at our key fob. This is your typical Ford key fob. You do have a standard smart entry on all but the very base trim level. Most models additionally will come with remote start as well. And to get inside, just reach behind the handle and that will unlock the door. Welcome inside, and you can take a look at the interior. Obviously you will notice some cool animations that kind of go across the brand new technology, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But first we're going to start out with our interior color and material choices as always. So a lot of the trim levels are going to come with cloth seating, especially on the lower end. Here at the ST line, we have a cloth and leatherette trimmed seat. So you'll notice we have this center finished in the ebony cloth. Then we have the leatherette along the side with the color contrast stitching detail. Looks pretty nice and feels nice and comfortable as well. And then of course you can get full leather seats if you go up to the top end trim levels. Now as far as the seats themselves, they're going to be 10-way power adjusting on this particular model. That's going to be optional for this ST line Select. And we also have the optional 3-person memory seating. Well, let's go ahead, get inside. Now that we're inside, we'll go ahead and look at the rest of the cabin materials. Starting out with our door trim here, we do have a leatherette material with that same color contrast stitching detail. Through the center section as well as along the top is going to be a soft touch plastic. And then on this trim level, we have a faux carbon fiber trim running through the middle. All 4 of your windows are one-touch auto up and down, by the way. Going to the upper dashboard, this is all a soft touch plastic. Through the center section, more of that faux carbon fiber trim. And as we move down to the lower panels, these are going to be hard touch down here. Now to fire it up, Ford has put our push button start located right there. Now, like always, let's go ahead and move into a first-person perspective, take a closer look at the details. I'll start off here with our gauge cluster. So we do have this really nice looking 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. This is going to be standard on just your Platinum and Elite models, but we do have it optional here. And as you can see, nice vivid looking graphics, pretty much the same as what we've seen in other Ford products. So we know it has a lot of functionality. Now pulling back to the steering wheel, we do have a special ST design. It's got a nice thick rim to it. It is also flat bottom, and we've got that same color contrast accent stitching. Of course, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, but with the ST line Select, we also get steering wheel heating. You turn that on and off inside of the main display. All right, let's move on to interior storage. Opening up our center console, nicely sized, plenty of space inside. There's a felt lining, and we'll get our coupons. As you can see, those fit in there, no problem whatsoever. They don't even have to fold in half. Up in front of that, you got a couple cup holders there. We have another storage area up in the front with a wireless phone charging pad. We have a USB-C, USB-A, and a 12-volt outlet. Now moving back to the shifter, this is the traditional electronic style that Fords usually have. Just going to twist over for drive, of course. There's not paddle shifters on the steering wheel though. And then twist over to the R for reverse. Now once we go into reverse, you're going to find usually a standard backup camera, but we actually have the available 360-degree camera system from the upper end trim levels on this ST line Select. As you can see, this is a really nice looking camera. We have big graphics, nice overhead view, active trajectory. You can also have some additional selections of views over there. You can zoom in and out. Yeah, definitely a very nice system. We also have rear parking sensors as well. This twist over for park. You also have an electronic parking brake and auto brake hold. Now, as you'll see in a second, some of the physical controls have been eliminated and gone into the display, but we do still retain a physical volume knob for the audio system. So, standard 6-speaker audio system available, Bang & Olufsen 10-speaker sound system on most of the trim levels. That's what we have today, and we'll go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, overall sound quality of this system is quite good. Definitely has a lot of bass to it and a lot of punch, especially compared to a lot of the competition. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out this new display. This is kind of the elephant in the cabin, so to speak. As you can see, it's quite large. That's because it's 13.2 inches, which is one of the very largest options that you have in the entire segment. This is going to be included standard on your top end trim levels. We do have it optional on this ST line Select today. The standard option is going to be 8 inches on the other trim levels. Now, one of the things that's noteworthy about this system is that it is running the new Sync 4 software. So this is a newer generation versus what the Escape previously had. As you can see, really nice looking graphics. It's going to occupy all the additional space because it can adapt to whatever type of screen size that you have. And overall layout is, I think, easier to understand. You also have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, plus we have a built-in navigation system right here. Now, what I was talking about earlier when it comes to the controls being inside the display is, of course, the climate controls. You used to have physical knobs down there in that area. Now you're going to have to make your adjustments up here. That being said, nice and easy. You're just going to tap like that, or you can drag the slider if you want to make quicker adjustments. The climate is going to be dual zone automatic on all but the base model. Our heated seats are going to be over here, and these are included on the ST line Select. However, do be aware you cannot get seat ventilation, which is something that several of the rivals do offer at this point. Rising on up here, we do have a manual dimming mirror on today's model. Auto dimming one is available. And also available is the panoramic Vista roof. As you can see, we don't have it on today's example, but Ford does offer that on pretty much all of the trim levels.
All right, guys, now the Escape is a family vehicle, so let's check out this rear area and see if it's a good place for your family to spend some time. Now, as far as the space is concerned, let's go ahead and dive into that part first. 40.7 inches of legroom, 39.3 inches of headroom. If you're curious as to how that compares to some of the rivals, that is one of the largest in the entire segment. That's going to be larger than Toyota RAV4, larger than Nissan Rogue. It's going to be pretty much on par with the Honda CR-V, which is one of the largest in the segment. So very impressive when it comes to that. Now, as far as knee space, we're looking at about a solid 9 inches with the seat adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9". My feet can also slide all the way in to under the seat. Look how much. I even have room to like kick the bottom of the seat so you can really annoy your mom or dad, whoever is driving, if you're in a bad mood. Now, as far as some of the features, we do have vents here in the center, and then dropping below that, we have USB ports. These are Type-C variety, 2 of them. That's going to be on all but the very base Escape model. If we fold down the center armrest, we do have 2 cup holders inside. Then I do also want to point out that the rear seats can recline a pretty good ways. This is fully upright, and you can recline for further comfort. Now let's go ahead and turn to the door trim. This is an area I'm a little bit disappointed with this Ford Escape, because this door trim is going to be as hard as some of my accounting exams in college. It is fully hard from top to bottom, besides for the armrest portion, which does have a little bit of leatherette padding, but I would really like to see that a little bit more padded, especially on a higher end model like this. And then down in the bottom, we do have some bottle storage as well as a little storage in front of that. Now walking up to the tailgate on the Escape, we have a power tailgate included on all but the very base model. So that's a really nice feature to have included on all but the base, which is very nice. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned, we're looking at 38 cubic feet behind the second row seats. If we fold those seats down, we're looking at 65 cubic feet as a maximum. Now, I do want to point out, if you go for a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid model, your maximum cargo capacity is going to be reduced down a little bit. I believe it's about 60 cubic feet, so about 5 less than the traditional gas model. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the finishings back here. Nice carpeting along the floor. We do have a spare tire underneath. We have a 12-volt outlet on the left side as well. I do want to point out, though, no handles to fold the second row seats. They do fold 60-40 split, but no handles to fold them in the cargo area. Also, there's not really an easy way to come up here and do it from the back of the cargo area, so I'm going to have to go up to the second row. Now that I went up there and folded the seats down, I can get our signature measuring tape test from the back of the driver's seat all the way to the rear of the cargo area. We're looking at about 66 inches of length. As far as the width on it, we're looking at about 48 inches, 49 inches of space. As far as what could fit back here, it's not quite big enough to fit a full-size bicycle in terms of the overall length, though, so do keep that in mind. You could fit smaller items in here, though, so don't fret too much about it. It's a good amount of space overall. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed 2023 Ford Escape. Now, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things in this test drive, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our signature sound level reading. But first, we're going to start with a hard acceleration and show you what's under the hood and how it performs. Nice.
Yeah, so like we mentioned with the spec dump, you can probably tell we have the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and this scoot's pretty good. You know, it's not very common in this segment at this point actually to have a up-level, more powerful gasoline engine option.
Yeah.
But the Escape does have that. Of course, most Escapes are going to come with the 1.5-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder. That's the most common option in the Escape lineup, but certainly this is worth considering if you are a person that likes a little additional power. We definitely do.
Yeah.
To remind you what the power actually is: 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah, and as far as what the base engine is rated at, we're sitting at 180 horsepower for that one, 199 pound-feet of torque from the 3-cylinder motor. So pretty substantial increases. 81 pound-feet of torque above that. You're also going to have, almost hit a tree there in the road, we're going to have 70 more horsepower, so a pretty substantial increase there. And really, like Drew said, it's a rare option to have a turbo 4-cylinder in this segment. Of course, the Mazda CX-5 and CX-50 do have that, but those are really some of your only options that are giving you that nowadays. Now, additionally, you have a hybrid option that's going to be making 192 horsepower, and then you have the plug-in hybrid. So yes, 4 powertrain options. That's 210 horsepower overall. So Ford is really giving you the gamut when it comes to powertrain choices. You should be happy with whatever powertrain you have under the hood because you have options with this vehicle.
I think that's an important point if you're cross-shopping with the Bronco Sport, because you don't have that many choices with the Bronco Sport. So let's talk about the other aspects of the powertrain. We've got an 8-speed automatic transmission. On board, this is mostly smooth. There is a little bit of a hesitation when you're accelerating hard, but when you're going more casually, nice and smooth. You have front-wheel drive as standard equipment, optional all-wheel drive as well.
I do want to also point out, if you go for a hybrid or plug-in hybrid, those are going to have an ECVT that replaces this 8-speed automatic transmission. And one thing that we haven't mentioned just yet is how you get this engine. It's going to be available on standard on the top end models. It actually starts at this ST Line Select trim level. So the 2-liter motor is standard on this trim level, as well as all-wheel drive is standard on the ST Line Select. So for going for one of the top end models, you're actually just going to go ahead and get that standard extra power, which is very nice that they're including that without an extra charge. And I also want to go ahead and talk about the fuel economy. Now, for this upgraded motor, you might expect it to get bad fuel economy, but it's actually not going to be the case here. We're sitting at 23, 31, 26 miles a gallon combined. Do keep in mind standard all-wheel drive as well. Now, if you go for the 3-cylinder option, you can get up to 30 miles a gallon combined. If you go for front drive, 28 mpg combined if you go for all-wheel drive. The hybrid model is rated at a very impressive 39 mpg combined, which is only one less than the RAV4, which I do believe is the class leader in the segment. So very good fuel economy from that hybrid. The plug-in hybrid also gets 37 miles of pure electric range. So that's a very good plug-in hybrid in this segment as well. So, you know, like what we said, you have a lot of options here when it comes to what type of fuel economy you're going to be wanting. And getting up to speed here, this is where I want to talk about the ride quality for this Escape. Now, we've been driving it along a few of these roads here, and I'm noticing that the ride quality is very good. Even though we have the ST line with the larger wheels, it's still a very comfort-oriented vehicle, and you're going to notice that in your ride quality. When you hit a bump, it does a good job of soaking it up. We actually drove a RAV4 to come review this because that's our week-long tester this week, and I don't really see a big difference in terms of the ride quality. They seem about the same to me in terms of the comfort level, so very happy overall with the ride quality. Now, I do also want to get our signature sound level reading going 55 miles an hour so we can compare it to some of the rivals. Settled in at 58.9 decibels. Now, as far as how that ranks against some of its competition, as you can see, it lands it a little bit on the louder end of the segment, but overall, it's not a huge difference between that and some of the other rivals. I think it still feels pretty quiet inside of this cabin.
Well, I'm ready if you're ready. Let's do the slam dunk and airball. I'll start with the slam dunk. That's going to be just your wide variety of choices. I think we've talked about that plenty so far in the video, so I'm not going to go into that any more than we already have.
Yeah, and for our airball with this Escape, it's going to be the interior materials. Now, I said materials, I don't mean the display and the technology. They really have done a good job of making that very up-to-date and very modern, but some of these cabin materials are still a little bit cheaper than the competition. For instance, the entire back door trim is hard touch. You know, just some of the materials are a little sharp and, you know, not the best and highest quality in the segment, that's for sure.
They upgraded the exterior, but they didn't really change much in terms of the interior materials.
Yeah, we've complained about it before, and there wasn't a lot of changes with this refresh to the cabin besides for the tech. And lastly here, let's talk about the warranty. 3-year, 36,000 miles for your basic warranty. 5-year, 60,000 miles for your powertrain. Ford does not do complimentary maintenance.
Did also want to point out that we have a website, and on our website you will now find our sound level readings. So in addition to the number that you just saw us capture for this Ford Escape, we have all of the competition in this segment tested out on a road and written down, so you can put them in order, see what is the quietest in the segment, what is the loudest in the segment. And you can do that by all different types of vehicles. So that's going to be available at carconfections.com.
Now, how much is this Escape going to cost? Well, we're going to start out at $28,000 for the base model. That is with front wheel drive. Now, we have a lot of different trim levels. They're on the screen right now, so you can read those and all the prices. You top out with the plug-in hybrid that starts at $40,500. Now, as far as this one, we have the ST Line Select. We have a handful of options on this particular tester, plus $14.95 destination. We do have quite a few discounts as well, so I'm not sure if that's just on our particular model or what, but we're sitting at $38,205 as an all-told price for this particular tester that we looked at today. And guys, that's going to wrap up our review on the refreshed 2023 Ford Escape ST Line Select. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support because you make this all possible. And by subscribing, you get us access to vehicles like this where we can sample out some of the newest cars on the market to see if that's right for you and your family. Also, if you haven't had the chance to go ahead and check out our TikTok and Instagram pages, please go ahead and do that. We also have a full website with all of our sound level readings published on it, so check that out as well. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.